going on, everyone? We're going to talk about Bitcoin here. We're going to get straight into it. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, but look at where we're at now, 94.8K. We've been pulling back a little bit here, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing that we've been seeing a pullback. Gives people an opportunity if they want to get in before the next push upwards, if we have another push upwards. But remember, we are still in a rising wedge. So you do not buy until you get the confirmation. And that's why I'm making this video here. Some people call it a rising wedge. Some people call it a bear flag. I actually just did a trade on MicroStrategy while looking at Bitcoin in, clocking the bear flag that we just now had. And this is why it's important to know these things. Because still, this is a rising wedge. Bearish patterns here. Let me show you a bear flag. So apparently there's multiple meanings for bear flags, right? But what I'm talking about is this. So some people will call it bear pennant. Some people will call it, bear pennant, rising wedge. Like, look, there's a bunch of different terms. But look, bear flag, this is the bear flag. I just did a bear pennant trade on MicroStrategy and then the rising wedge. So all three of them look similar, but the angle of the trend lines are slightly different, but all three of them are the same. This is the 1 minute chart on Bitcoin. This is the bear flag that we just had on Bitcoin on the 1 minute chart. This is such a short time frame, but again, like I mentioned before, I'm day trading, and that's why I was waiting to make this video, waiting until my trade played out. This is a bear flag, right? Boom, boom, boom. So we should be at 94K, maybe a little bit lower soon. We're at 94.8, but like lower 94Ks. Percent R trend exhaustion just broke down on that minute chart, so it's confirming that pullback. We just now broke down there, so we should be hitting this area here, which doesn't matter because like this is the 1 minute chart. This is like day trading stuff. The reason why I'm mentioning this, and the reason why I'm mentioning MicroStrategy, because this here is a bear pennant. So we have three different bearish confirmations on the minute chart, which is like us transitioning into a pullback phase after we just now had our pump. This is the bear pennant. You're going to also call it a bearish symmetrical triangle, bear pennant. And I showed you the bear flag, and I also showed you this, which is the rising wedge. So now that we got all of this stuff out of the way, let's go back over here and talk about why I'm mentioning the pullbacks and everything, right? So let's pull back up Bitcoin. And again, this is the bear flag on the minute chart, which again, it doesn't really matter because it's the minute chart. When you pull back here or come back here and you look at the daily chart, there's still a possibility we can have more moves to the upside. But there's also a possibility that this could be a bull trap. And that's why I'm saying you wait till confirmation. You wait until confirmation. That's exactly what I just did on this trade. When I seen, yep, confirmed bear pennant, bearish pennant, and then confirmed bear flag on Bitcoin. I know MicroStrategy is going to go down because it is a Bitcoin treasury company, so it follows Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was very, very important for that trade. The reason why I'm talking about this here, because look, we're still in a rising wedge. We just got rejected at the top of the rising wedge, very expected. We broke out of it very, very briefly, and then we immediately pulled back. Now we're hitting this Fibonacci support. Also, we had resistance there. So resistance becomes support, support becomes resistance. So this is what we're pretty much looking at here. Now, this is the daily chart. Again, we'll pull up the MACD. I would argue that we kind of had some bullish divergence here, right? And this kind of is what started that push upwards because we had so much selling pressure, bullish divergence. The lows became higher on the MACD. And as you can see here, lows become higher on the MACD. That's a bullish divergence pattern. And that's why we had the breakout that we had. But we haven't necessarily started creating bearish divergence. We haven't necessarily started that yet. So that's why I think that we might, like this not bear flag, this rising wedge might be a false alarm. It might be, possibly, but it also might not be. And that's why you wait for confirmation. So let's say you're trying to buy Bitcoin because you think it's going to go up to 100K plus, or like altcoins and stuff, and you're following Bitcoin because everything's following Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up, altcoins go up, right? Some altcoins won't, but most of them will. You would want to wait for it to pass this area here on the rising wedge. So give or take, let's say 98K. You want to see Bitcoin pass 98K before you hop in. And even more so than 98K, you really want to see it get up here to this 100K area. But past 98K, altcoins are about to start pushing up with Bitcoin. And then on the way up to 100K, you might get a 5 to 10% push on altcoins. So that's really why I'm talking about this. Like when I talk about Bitcoin, it's not so people can, trade a Bitcoin. It's so people can track altcoins, because I'm tired of making the 5 videos a day going over all these altcoins, getting 50 views, 100 views on these little altcoin videos. Like, it doesn't matter. Follow Bitcoin and you're following the money at that point, because big money follows Bitcoin. They get into altcoins based off of what Bitcoin does. So that's the most important thing, the most important takeaway here. So we haven't necessarily started the build bearish divergence, which means that we could have some more buying pressure inside of the MACD. The percent R trend exhaustion isn't necessarily dumping. It's slowly but surely inching its way up, right? This is just another pullback phase. It might continue upwards, and this might continue downwards, and they might cross and intersect. And at this point, it could either go up or down at that point. So the real reason why I'm saying this is, as this works its way up, we might find ourselves all the way up here at 98K, waiting to just break out, just to get rejected. So you got to be extremely careful. Wait for confirmation. Never go without confirmation. Also, we're at a 50. We're at a neutral. People are 50-50. So when you hear me say it could go up or down, I literally mean it could go up or down. So I remember seeing people in the comments saying, "Oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He just said the price could go up and down." Obviously, it can go up and down. Obviously, it can go up and down. This is called trading, and this is kind of what we do. We speculate. We look at different, different opportunities to get in, different opportunities to get out. So you have to understand, just because I say something like, "Oh, it could go up or down," it doesn't necessarily mean I'm leaning up and down. Like, no, I have a direction I think this could go, more likely, which is, to me, I think is downwards a little bit. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Because here, this is the 4-hour chart on the percent R trend exhaustion. Look at what happened here. It stopped halfway and then continued. What if it does that again? Well, if it does that again, we could see this pulling back even more. What if it doesn't do that again? What if it continues down? This is what I mean by it could go up and down. What if it continues down? Right? This is why you need to wait for confirmation. So me personally, I'm expecting this to pull back to 90K. So I'm expecting a 90K pullback here on Bitcoin. And that's really why I'm making this video. And that's why I traded put options today on MicroStrategy, right? And it was successful. Thank God it was successful. I was watching it and I was like, okay, what's about to happen here? What's about to happen here? Because, coming towards the end of the day, like, hey, I got these contracts. Why is it going up? Like, I'm in puts, right? I'm in puts around this area right here. I got in around here because I thought it was about to crash right here. So just to give you an insight of how I trade, I thought it was about to crash here. So I'm like, puts on MicroStrategy, let's go. Went down. I was like, nah, I want more money. It kept going up. I'm like, oh, wait. And then I'm like, calm down. No emotional trading. Why? Because I went and I looked at Bitcoin and I knew it was going to go down. Because Bitcoin had a bear flag and we had a bearish pennant or a bearish symmetrical triangle on this. So we had the bearish symmetrical triangle. We had the bear pennant. And then on Bitcoin, we had the bear flag. So I'm like, all right, do some push-ups. Literally, like, stop looking at this, do push-ups. That's exactly what I did. And then it starts to go down. All right. And that's why you always got to wait for confirmation. I didn't wait for confirmation, right? I should have waited a little bit longer. But that's why I want to make this video, to remind people to wait for confirmation. Because even me, like, I do pretty good trading every day. Not every day. I do pretty good trading in most days, right? And there's days like this where I make an impulse decision and get in without waiting for confirmation. And then I have to remind myself, what was that confirmation I was waiting for? I'm waiting for Bitcoin to break down on this bear flag. And that's exactly what just now happened, but I didn't necessarily wait for that. So it's very, very, very important to wait for confirmation on these trades. Now, some could argue that we're about to start creating bearish divergence, and that is going to be the push down to 90K that I'm talking about. Here's bearish divergence. That's when your highs are getting pretty much higher on the charts, but on the MACD, you're getting lower highs. And let me show you what that would look like on the MACD. MACD, lower highs, boom, comes down, might have an increase right here really soon. Boom. Next one comes down, might have a small increase, boom. And then the last pullback, right? And then massive breakout. So by the end of the month, it's possible that Bitcoin could continue to break out, or even within a week or so. I don't know. I don't know everything. I don't know everything. It's really hard to track this type of stuff, and all you can do is do your best, right? That's why I don't tell people, do this, do that, do this, do that. I just say wait for confirmation, and I show my technical analysis. And then you can take the different patterns that I've drawn out here, and then you can draw it on your own chart, and then you could wait for that confirmation. And then you could do your own thing and just look at the technical analysis I did, and then learn how to do it yourself, and then boom. Personally, I do think that it will continue down. I think this might be a bull trap. If anything, if we do break out, let's say we do like 90K and then break out from here, watch out for 100K. We have resistance at 100K. You could see that pull back from 100K down to 98K and possibly 94K, and then a continuation upwards to 106K if that happens. So that's very important. And again, let's go out now and pull up the weekly chart. Now we're on the weekly chart, and let's go ahead and hide all our drawings. Again, I've been saying I think that this might be a head and shoulders. Boom, right here, head and shoulders pattern, bearish pattern. Might be head and shoulders, might not be. Who knows? Someone mentioned in the comments, look, I read all y'all comments. I read all of them. But and keep commenting it. But whether it's negative or not, keep commenting. It helps the channel. But look, someone mentioned that this is not a head and shoulders pattern. He was like, good luck or something like that. Which, look, he might be right. It might be right. It might not be a head and shoulders, or it might be. We have to look at every single possibility. We can't just look at the possibilities that we want to look at. Like, we literally got to look at everything. So I'll look at what that person said and see, and what scenario would it be where this wouldn't be a head and shoulders, right? So first, let's go ahead and take this off. And you guys can see me breaking this down live here. I don't really care to do live streams too much. I'll only do it for like members when members request, like they really want a live stream to break down multiple altcoins, then we can go ahead and do that. So if there's any members out there that I would like a live stream, maybe on a particular day, we can make that happen. We can make that happen. But yeah, look, this is the shoulder, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then the neckline, give or take, is right around here, right? Depending if you got broad shoulders or what. But look, this would be the neckline on that head and shoulders pattern. So technically, the confirmation that this is a head and shoulders pattern would be if Bitcoin breaks down below 82K. If Bitcoin breaks below 82K, it is confirmed. Well, 80K. Sorry. If Bitcoin breaks down below 80K, it is confirmed that this is indeed a head and shoulders pattern. And then the next area for us to stop would be 72K, short little relief rally back up to 80K possibly, and then a bigger push down to 50K, and then probably a massive rally. And look, it might not be the same this time. We might not see something where all year we're going down to like 20K. We might not see that. We might stop at 50K just because of the liquidity is increasing in all markets. because all of the money that was printed by the Federal Reserve. They printed so much money. Other countries are printing money as well. Everybody's going through inflation, which means assets are going to get inflated as well. Asset prices are going to get inflated as well. So that is something you need to remember. That's why I'm like, look, the previous all-time high of the last bull rally in 2021, that was 69K. So that is a possibility. It's a possibility it could stop at 69 and then we can have a massive rally, or it could come down to 50. One of those two. I think it's more likely to come down to 50K and then have the next massive rally, because if you come back here and you look at the last previous run, we went a little bit below the all-time high. We went down to 15K. All-time high for the 2017 bull rally was 19K. And then we ended up going down to 15. And if you come back here and look at that percentage, it's not going to be that much of a big percentage at all. Let's take this, bring this down 20% below. So if we go over here and we do the same thing, we might get 19 to 20% below. So yeah, this would be 26% below, give or take, from 69K to 50K. So there's a possibility that we could do something like that. So that's what I'm watching. I think 50K could be a bottom point. Let's pull up the monthly chart now. So yeah, this is the monthly chart of Bitcoin. At this point, I expect for us to build bearish divergence. Higher highs, which we've seen, and we had a maximum high, right? And then lower highs on the MACD. So what this would look like is boom. Then you have the levels down here that we've already hit. Another increased relief rally. Boom. And then something smaller like this. Boom. And then a bigger sell-off, like a crash type of sell-off. And I don't think it's going to be that long. It's not going to take till 2028 like it's showing here. But I think that it can be a less exaggerated type of move, a less exaggerated move. But I prefer to look at it on the weekly chart, because the monthly chart, that's just too long of a chart for me. Other people are better at breaking it down on the longer time frames, but I like to stop at the weekly chart. That's just where I feel most comfortable doing this. So if you look at the percent art trend exhaustion, I actually just had a similar thing in MicroStrategy that I was looking at. This is the percent art trend exhaustion on the weekly chart for MicroStrategy. If you come over here and you look at the no, not the daily. Let's go to the 4. Not to the 4. Maybe what was it? The 30-minute. So what tends to happen a lot when you see the percent art trend exhaustion curving like this, it curves, it intersects, and it continues down. And the reason why I mention this is because if we go back, let's go back to Bitcoin on the weekly chart. We curve, go sideways a little bit. We intersect and continue downwards, possibly, and then massive breakout by the end of the year. Going into our new bull market, maybe by, I don't know. That was October that I just looked at, but you know, we could only make assumptions at this point. So I'm not really trying to predict the long term here. I'm focused on what's happening now, and that's where I specialize. I specialize in these short term moves, especially on the 4-hour chart. I love the 4-hour chart. I see this coming down more. I see this coming down more on the 4-hour. This brings us downwards. If you see this move here, 94K down, boom. I think this brings us down again to 90K. And from there, we might actually end up breaking down even more. And then remember what I've been saying, a possible double bottom situation. Like we have a bear, well, not necessarily a bear flag or bearish pennant, but we have a rising wedge, which is similar. The reason why I say this is if we did this, boom, one bottom, come up, boom, boom, it's 2 bottoms. Double bottom, we have this rising wedge, it's bearish, so we should be breaking down. I still think that will come down to 80K. Like if we break this 90K area, I think we come down to 80K, and then we have another massive breakout again, just tricking people, using people as exit liquidity that are super bullish. There's a lot of perma bulls right now. A lot of people are permanently bullish. They're super bullish. Let's show you some of the bullish sentiment here. There's just so many people are so bullish. Even though it says 50-50, it says neutral on the fear greed index. You still have people that are just so overly bullish. Please, Twitter, do not show some random stuff. You don't know what it is. You can see someone getting off on Twitter. You can see someone getting off on Twitter. Like, yeah, please don't show that Twitter. But look, Bitcoin 200K plus is coming. Now, look, people like this could be right, and I think it's doing people a disservice by being overly bullish and overly bearish. That's why I'm neither one. I'm not overly bullish. I'm not only overly bearish either. Like, I'm looking at everybody like, okay, I can see where everyone's coming from. I can see where this person's coming from, right? Inside their eyes, Bitcoin would reach, let's say, 150K by March, do new all-time highs, and then dump. Or maybe they get all the way up, 158K. This bearish expanding triangle, probably the top of that area, 158K. I could see it doing that, like doing a massive push, and then just completely dumping, and then bearish for the rest of the year. And then by the end of the year, starting to get some recovery. I could see that happening, and I'm not completely biased. I'm not completely bearish with this. And then we got scammers. You're always gonna have them. We highly doubt you have 575 million random Bitcoin professor, right? Bitcoin correction was needed to wipe out late longs. Now more liquidity is emerging to the upside here. I guess a reversal could happen soon, and that's why I'm saying, like, this could have been a bear trap, or we could be forming a bull trap. You never know, and that's why I think it's very, very close to watch the short-term movements, so you know what's about to happen. Because me personally, I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, I like to think I'm pretty good at short-term trading and doing short-term technicals, and we're coming down. We're actively pulling back to 90K. That's all I'm worried about. I'm not worried about nothing else inside of this market, other than this breaking and coming down to 90K, and possibly breaking here or possibly going up. But up to that point, I don't care. Only thing I care about is this. This is what I'm watching out for, because I will not be touching altcoins until I know what happens here. If I start to see this recovering and getting above these highs here, all right, I'm getting back in on altcoins. If I don't see that and I start seeing this getting broken at 90K, then I'm not. Then I'm just going to sit around and wait. But I do know right now it is pulling back actively, right? And again, like I said, some people are really good at doing long-term predictions. The only problem I have with long-term predictions is you really can't be too sure. Like, anything can happen in the market. And you definitely want to be careful. So this person said, what is your prediction move for Bitcoin in this coming week? They're saying up or down. So he's not really giving any scenarios that he thinks. This person says loading 180K, but you see a common theme here. Like, they're all super bullish. Now he's showing the RSI and he's saying the RSI is low. But what he doesn't realize is that the RSI can stay oversold for an extended period of time. So there is that possibility. They said, if you think this move is over, you're missing the bigger picture. Structure is still intact. Pullbacks are being absorbed, and momentum hasn't broken. I'm calling it now. 190K gets printed this year. Hey, that's a possibility. So I'm not gonna knock them on that. Everything's a possibility on this side. And then this person, Bitcoin sweeping the range low first instead of the highs means we can go up higher than my original 98K target. Hold this box and we go to 100K this weekend, in my opinion. It's a possibility. So again, I guess we can run this scenario too. It's a possibility that I'm wrong and that it doesn't go down to 90K this weekend. All right. It's a possibility, but I'm still going to bet on the 90K thing. Also, I think we're building a head and shoulders on our short-term chart. right? Short-term time frame, in my opinion, is a head and shoulders neckline. Then here we have the head and shoulders patterns. So, everyone has their own opinions, and that's why I think it's very, very important for people to learn technical analysis. You don't want to go off of someone else's opinions, even mine. That's why I'm not too opinionated. That's why I'm not saying overly bullish or overly bearish. I'm literally just keeping neutral, but leaning more bearish, right? So we'll see what this person has to say about this. But yeah, I think and also this could be seen as a descending triangle, which is a bullish pattern. So they could be right, and it might not be a head and shoulders, and it might not be dropping down to 90K. Descending triangles are bullish patterns. I don't like descending triangles too much, but this is a bullish pattern. So he could be right, and it could break out, and it could continue to the upside. All right. There is that possibility. Descending. Oh, wait, no. Descending triangles bearish. I don't know what I was saying right there. Ascending triangles are bullish. I had a brain fart right there, guys. But yeah, descending triangles are bearish, and that's why I have these charts, because sometimes I get the two mixed up. So you guys can see me live making this video, messing up. So yeah, but anyways, descending triangles, yes, are bearish, and we have the head and shoulders that I was mentioning. So yeah, I'm still at 90K. So yeah, you guys can see me messing up in real time. What else we got? But you can see the common theme here. Like everybody's super bullish. Everybody. And this person said Bitcoin loading 108K. This is the ascending triangle that they showed. But the problem with the ascending triangle is that if we break this area here, then we're screwed, right? And I already talked about the ascending triangle in one of my other videos, and then I just took it off of the chart because we broke past it. But it still holds true. And that's why I'm saying, look, if we break this support and we come back to 90K, then the ascending triangle is invalidated and we're still in that rising wedge. So this is why I'd say, be extremely careful, wait for confirmation. We have 3 patterns within each other. We have a rising wedge, which is bearish. Within that rising wedge, we have an ascending triangle, which is bullish. And then if you scroll in even further, we have a descending triangle here, which is bearish. And then we have a possible head and shoulders forming, which is also bearish. So there's more bearish patterns than bullish. There's one bullish pattern, which is this the ascending triangle. But there's 3 bearish ones. A descending triangle, a possible head and shoulders forming, and a rising wedge. That's why I'm looking at what are most of the where are we leaning towards most? We're leaning mostly towards bearish, right? And then when you look over here, you could try to make the argument that we're about to start forming bearish divergence on the MACD, right? And it would look something similar like that. I can't draw. But yeah, bearish divergence possibly forming on the MACD. So, but everyone's still super bullish. Still. This person is, while most were calling for 100K at 97K, we had a defined plan with clear invalidation, stuck to it, and the move played out. If range highs hold 96 through 97K, can be back on the table next week. So another bullish person. Most people aren't ready for the scenario. Don't say you weren't warned. Another bullish person. Oh, no. He's kind of in the same boat as me. Actually, this is the exact thing I'm expecting here, honestly. This is exactly what I expect. Head and shoulders, boom, pulls that back down here to maybe the 70K range or 60K range, 60 to 50K, and then break out upwards. But I think it's gonna extend out throughout the year, and I think we might have sideways movement. I don't think it's just gonna go straight up like that. So thinking it'll go straight up like that is a very dangerous thought. I don't know if this person Rhett Spencer thinks he's gonna go straight up like that. He probably doesn't. He just probably drew it out like that. But yeah, towards the end of 2026, we should start to see some recovery. Looks like formed a bear trap. So this person thinks we're getting trapped. So as you can see, everyone but Wrecked Fencer is bullish. Shout out to Wrecked Fencer. Right, he's got some people following him that I follow too. That do some good analysis on crypto. So yeah, I do think that is a likely area. Bitcoin is going to 130K with or without you. Don't say you weren't warned. Oh wow, this person is doing. Most people aren't ready for this scenario. So don't say you weren't warned. Wow, this guy is. All right, no, never mind. He's flip flopping. He's not sticking to his word. You can see January 7th. This is what he says, and he still has it pinned. And then 2 hours ago, this is what he says. So January 7th, he's like, "Oh, we're about to take off to 130K immediately." But 2 hours ago, he's now starting to say, we're not doing that yet. We're gonna pull back, and then we're gonna do that." Yeah, I thought he was a good one. I thought he was doing good, but he just kind of messed up with that. I mean, everyone contradicts himself every now and then, but that's why I'm like, I'm not ever too bearish or bullish, right? Bitcoin is extremely strong right now. Another super bullish person, 100K within a week. So you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying here. Acceptance below 94.5K will confirm a deviation above the previous highs. 90 and 84K will be the next likely targets if we lose. That's a possibility there. As long as we remain above this level, 107K is next on Bitcoin. So we really only have one bearish person. Like this person here, like the other guy kind of flip flops. So I'm gonna take away his card. Right? Nah, I'll give him his card back. I'll give him his technical analysis pro card. Right? I'll give him his guru card back. But yeah, other than that, we got two people that are bearish. Bitcoin printing a bearish PO3, acceptance above 98K invalidates it. Yep, that's what I said. I said if it gets above 98, well, if it gets above 100K, that's really what I'm looking for, 100K. Liquidity is screaming, it's just not up here. Bitcoin, hear me out, just a bullish retest here, and we send everything hard. So yeah, you guys can see what I'm saying. Everybody's super bullish. And look, the people who control most of the money see this stuff. They see it. They see all of it. So they know if people, like if influencers are influencing people to be bullish, what do you think they're going to do? The rich people are not going to follow what influencers are saying because they know that most people are going to follow the influencers. I am not seeing too many people, influencers. I don't like the term influencers. I'm not an influencer. I just make videos, but I'm seeing, and I have no influence on YouTube. You see my videos, I get like 200 views per video. People like me aren't getting big views because we're not saying Bitcoin is going to take off. I promise you, if I start making super bullish videos, my videos are going to get more views. They might not take off, but they will get more views. I promise you, if I do super bullish videos, it will get more views. People want to believe it's going to be bullish because they're down right now. A lot of people bought at the highs and they're praying for it to be more bullish. So that's why they're subscribing to all the bullish channels. They're listening to all the bullish talk, all the bullish rhetoric. They want this to go off. They want it to be bullish. And it just doesn't work like that all the time. And hey, sometimes those people are going to be right. Sometimes they're going to be right. So we just got to see whether they're right or wrong. I know I got some members of the channel that like advances, so I'm not going to do a separate video for that. I'm going to break it down now. And we're going to cover this. So yeah, Avantis. Let's see what we got. Okay, same thing here on Avantis. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. So yeah, we could have a little bit more selling off on Avantis till it hits 28 to 27 cents. By then, Bitcoin should be at 90K and possibly recovering or possibly breaking down further. And if that happens, we'll see a continuation downwards for Avantis if that happens. So be careful. But if Bitcoin goes up, obviously everything is going to go up. That's why I don't really want to do a separate video for altcoins because, you know, it's kind of the same thing as Bitcoin. There's really no information for me on this other than possible bullish divergence building up on the MACD. And that'll be confirmed if we get a higher low here on the MACD, right? That bullish bullish divergence would be confirmed at that point. And it's 4 a.m. right now inside of the Philippines. That's why you guys are hearing me stutter and all this other stuff. More punctual earlier on in the day. But I have to trade at the nighttime because of the time difference. But it doesn't matter because I just made my rent today in trading. So it is what it is. I make it every day. So moving on from that, we are gonna do what else? Very grateful for this. Let's go over here to Pudgy Penguins because there's members that like Pudgy Penguins. Same thing. Wow. Yeah. Double top. Expect Pudgy Penguins to pull back even further. This is a double top. Clear cut of a double top. Let me draw that out better. Yeah. Clear picture of a double top. If we are to pull back, we'll pull back to either this level here at 1.0107. Look out for that. Boom, 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 boom. 0.0107. That's where I'm watching it for Pudgy Penguins for people that care about that. Working its way down on the percent arc trend exhaustion. Probably going to do something like this and continue downwards. Especially if Bitcoin continues downwards. So remember those levels that I just mentioned on, or that level on Pudgy Penguins. That's 0.0107. So remember that. Oh yeah, also bearish divergence on Pudgy Penguins. In the process of creating bullish divergence, once it finishes the bearish divergence, then bullish divergence creates. And I think from that point, it might start moving up a little bit again. And here's our bearish divergence, lower highs on the MACD. So yeah, that's what we're looking at for Pudgy Penguins. Wait till it hits here and a possible move up from there. And yeah, remember what I said on the Pudgy Penguins thing the other day? I said I thought it would get up here to this white line. When I said that around here, ended up getting halfway there. But I remember also what I said: if it gets rejected here, you wait for confirmation. If it gets rejected here, then it's bearish, and that's exactly what it did. That's why I always say wait for confirmation. Would have been a small trade, but optimal. It would have been a 9.91% trade. But it didn't do it. That's why I said wait for confirmation for it to pass this and then ride that up there. But it did not. So watch out for that. Zcash. I'm just kind of going over everything like one by one here that people care about. So I don't have to do it all on separate videos. Zcash. I don't know. Zcash hasn't really been following Bitcoin, so this one might need a full video actually. So yeah, I'll make a video on Zcash on another day. But I still think it's coming down. But yeah, it hasn't really been wanting to follow Bitcoin. It's trading inside of a bearish expanding triangle or a bullish expanding triangle right here. So yeah, Zcash I'm unsure about until I look it up. Or you could call it a descending triangle. It could also be seen as a descending triangle. But yeah, I still think that descending triangle is going to be invalidated. I think it'll be invalidated, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to have to do a whole separate video on Zcash because there's bullish divergence building up on Zcash, higher lows on the MACD, while simultaneously, these are the higher lows on the MACD, while simultaneously doing the lower lows on the chart candlesticks. And I'll show the chart candlesticks. Lower lows on the chart candlesticks. Well, kind of getting higher lows on the chart candlesticks, but you kind of see what I'm saying, like on the MACD side of things. So yeah, I might have to do a full video on Zcash. What else do people care about? I think that's it. That's it for now. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at this. Oh, also S&P 500. Prepare for a nasty pullback, in my opinion. Maybe it'll keep going, but it's been overbought for the longest time. S&P 500, the SPY has been overbought since May of 2025. So it's been inside of this rising wedge as well. Let's go to the 4 hour. Well, first let's pull this up. Clear case of bearish divergence. So yeah, and we have a rising wedge. Again, rising wedge, bearish divergence, or yeah, bearish divergence, or was that bullish? Let me look at that again. Let me look at that again. Okay, the highs are getting lower. Highs are getting lower. So yeah, bearish divergence. And I'm expecting this to break down pretty soon. Overbought on the 4-hour as well for the percent R trend exhaustion. Selling, it might start speeding up here. So I'm expecting the SPY to drop down to 686 soon. Once this breaks, we might see a big drop down to 686. Try to reclaim that, and then possibly moving down to 680 from there, and then continuing down. So I'm preparing for the SPY to have a pullback. There's probably going to be some type of big news thing, some type of war thing going on, an attack from the U.S. on somewhere, or attack from Israel somewhere. There's gonna be something crazy that drives the market down, or they'll do something to pull it down, because they see this stuff. They know how the charts move. They see this stuff. They it just so happens that when the COVID thing happened, everything just dumped. But it was also trading in a bearish pattern right before it dumped, right? And then the whole thing with Ukraine and Russia, it was overbought. That happens, dumps. And I'm not saying that they're planning it, but it's a coincidence, right? It's a coincidence. Oh yeah, also the what was it called? The trade war with China with Trump earlier last year. Where was that? It was around like July or something like that. Yeah, this area here. Just so happens that it was also overbought, performing a double top right before Trump released that trade war on China. Sort of like a head and shoulders pattern and a double top. So it was like a head and shoulders and a double top, two bearish patterns. As you can see, bearish double top and bearish head and shoulders. Right as Trump does his trade war, crashes the whole market. Percent R trend exhaustion was completely overbought as well, but we know it can stay overbought for a long time. So that's why I say I don't know if they planned it or not, but it was definitely due for a pullback at that time. And we're now seeing the same thing kind of lining up, where we have a rising wedge. And not only do we have the rising wedge, come back here. I know this video is getting long, but I'm trying to do one video when I make these videos, not a bunch of videos. So yeah, and we're also at the top of our ascending triangle that we have been trading within for the longest time. Let me take this off. Look a little bit cleaner here. So yeah, we've been in an ascending triangle since 2019. And as you can see here, or not ascending triangle, we've been in an ascending channel since 2019. And now we're at the top end of it again. Every time we reach the top end of our ascending channel, we pull back. And we've been riding the top end of this for a while. So I'm expecting this pullback to hit 586, possibly down to 540. Or we might extend it and it might take a while. And maybe it hits 580 and stops here at that Fibonacci and then continues. So we'll have to wait for that. But yeah, we're definitely on a slippery slope here for the SPY. So I'm preparing for the stock market to take a dump this year, as well as crypto. And it's a coincidence, right, that they're both pulling back at the same time. Possibility that we'll start to build bearish divergence. Boom. Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Did it before. Could do it again. Boom. Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Did it before. And then boom, another massive pump by towards the end of the year or something like that, or towards the middle of the year. So yeah, this is all I got for you guys today, though. Long video, went over all the important stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. You think I'm right, let me know. Either way, let me know. But yeah, hit the like button, subscribe. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. all that good stuff. And as always, I'll be back with another video.